And we're back. It's another Neville and Chill live stream. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Tonight, we are going to be talking about this very famous and ancient mystic idea of testing yourself. Testing yourself. This is a concept that Neville Goddard, the famous mystic who we speak about at length in this space of Neville and Chill. This is a concept that he has introduced and talked about all throughout his entire body of work. It always comes back to this idea of test yourself to see whether you are holding to the faith. And so tonight, we're going to get into what that means, and we're going to tie it in to a very present experience in the liquid modernity of the now moment about what it means today, where we are sitting right now, to test ourselves, and what it means today, where we are sitting right now, to hold the vision, to hold to the faith, because that's what testing ourselves is all about. It's test yourselves. See, are you holding to the faith? Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you? That's the scripture. That's the ancient mystic teaching. Test yourself to see if you are holding to the faith, because the imaging power that creates reality is within you. It's not within other people over there. I mean, yes, we all do share creative power, but that person over there is not creating my images for me. Unless, of course, I create the image of allowing them to. But the whole purpose of the mystic journey is to learn to create our own images and to learn to hold the vision. So that's the topic for tonight's Neville and Chill. And I really just feel like we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into it. Just kind of just plunge right in. So let's do it. Let's talk about testing ourselves. Okay, so here's the basic idea, my friends. The basic idea is that when we image something, okay, so to talk about imaging something, we have to remember that really at this point, in this Neville and Chill space, everything that we're talking about is built upon a foundational model of reality that we have come to describe and term the polyverse. Okay, so the polyverse is this idea that really there are infinite truths, okay, infinite truths. And the truths that we select and hold as true for us, we will find evidence for in the world that we experience on the outside. Okay, so the truths that we hold as being true for us becomes our state of being. And our state of being is a filter that is that the light of the source that we all are, that one thing that we're looking at whenever we look at something in the world, whether that be internal or external, whenever we're making an observation, we're observing this one thing, it's source, okay? And this one thing that is source is really an infinite mirror. And it shows each observer who is looking at it, it shows them themselves through filters, which is the filters consist of the truths that we hold that collectively form our state of being. Okay, so if I was just pure unconditioned awareness in the endless, timeless, eternal state of the great I am, and I am in that state, and I am also observing, okay, all that I would behold would be pure light. That's all that I would behold, pure light, the pure light of awareness, okay? In order for me to tell any stories about what I'm experiencing, in order for me to have a human experience, in order for me to be in a human vessel and be experiencing, a physical biology and, my physical human energy template, and to really have an experience that is anything other than pure, unconditioned, formless, eternal awareness, I have to be able to tell a story about what I'm seeing. In order to be able to tell a story about what I'm seeing, I have to see something. Okay, so pure light, right? You can't really tell a story about that other than it's just infinite and endless and pure light. Okay, so this is where the idea of our state of being comes into play. Okay, so as soon as I say, okay, yes, I know that in my eternal, endless, great I am state, I am infinite source and I am pure light. But right now, I am experiencing being a human being. Okay, so now that is a filter that I have placed. It is a truth that I hold. Okay, so that truth that I'm holding, that I'm experiencing being a human, I will find evidence for. Okay, so for example, sitting in front of you in this moment, I can look at my hands and I can say, okay, it seems like that when I think about moving my hands move. Okay, I have a body, I am experiencing being in a body. This is a truth that I'm holding, that I am currently operating or piloting around this physical vessel, which is a human body. That is a truth that I am holding. Okay, so that becomes part of my state. And then I will find evidence for it. I will notice, that I seem to be wearing a body. I will notice that I have physical sensations that are enabled by the senses, which are sensors of physical reality. My senses, 4 or 5 of them, depending on who you talk to. Sometimes the sense of smell and the sense of taste are grouped into one. The ancient mystics considered those two senses to be one. But I've got these sensors that help me interact with physical reality. But really, what I'm interacting with is my state mirrored back to me, my state of being mirrored back to me in the reality that I'm experiencing. Okay, so that's both internal and external reality. So if I'm in the silence and I'm going within and I'm viewing my internal reality, it is still filtered through a state of being. If I am walking through the external, tangible, physical world, and I am observing the world around me using my sensors, my physical, bioelectric sensors, and I'm having an experience that way, okay? It's the same thing. I am still experiencing a collection of truths. I'm still experiencing my state of being. And that's why I can be standing right next to you and we can be looking at the same thing and be having two completely different experiences, because the truths that I hold may differ in some way from the truths that you hold. And so what you see, even though we seem to be looking at the same phenomena in matter using our sensors, okay, the story, the interpretation about what's happening is a direct reflection of our state of being, the truths that we're holding. Okay, so this is the polyverse model of reality. This idea that I can stand next to you, we can both be looking at the same thing, and we can have completely different experiences because we're each in our own individual universe. Okay, so the polyverse, infinite truths. The truths that I experience are the truths that I hold. The truths that you experience are the truths that you hold. Okay, and the truths that we do experience together are where our two individual truths overlap. Okay, so if you feel like you're having a human experience right now, and I feel like I'm having a human experience right now, that is one example of where the truths that we are holding as individual points of perspective and awareness upon the whole, that is an example of where those two ideas, our two collection of truths, may overlap. Okay. So I set the tone like that because I think this idea of polyverse, I think it's new for some. It's an old idea, meaning a long, has passed the test of time idea for others, but maybe some of the terminology is different, or maybe it's good to kind of refresh each time that we talk about it. Okay, so we have to start there. Okay, so we each have this this model of reality. We each have these truths that we carry, and together, collectively, we're living in the polyverse. Okay, so infinite truths, the truths that I hold, I will find evidence for. The truths that you hold, you will find evidence for. Now, there's a very key word that I just said: hold. The truths that I hold. Okay, what does it mean to hold a truth? The truths that I hold are the truths for which I keep the faith. The truths that I hold are the truths for which I keep the faith. Okay? I keep the faith that that truth is true. And that is how I hold the truth, by keeping the faith. And that truth that I'm holding by keeping the faith, I will find evidence for in my world to show me myself. Okay? Because remember, I'm a pure perspective, point of awareness on the whole. Okay? But I've got all these filters between me and that infinite light of source. And those filters collectively consist of my state of being. And my state of being, as defined by Neville, is everything that I consent and accept as being true about myself and about the world. Okay, those are the truths that I'm holding, the truths that I'm holding in faith. Okay. And so we're talking tonight about testing ourselves to see if we are holding to the faith, testing ourselves. Okay, so what does it mean to test ourselves? I'm going to tell you a story. This happened to me last week. On Monday, in a sacred experience of complete conviction, I spoke something into reality. I made a declaration. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. When you know who you are, when you know who you are, and you speak from that place of knowing who you are, when you make a declaration, a statement, when you speak into existence, there is power in that statement. There's power in those words. So Monday, I made a conscious declaration in a sacred space of power, and I spoke something into existence. And Tuesday, it happened. And it surprised me. It surprised me. Almost like I wasn't expecting it. Monday, I see it clearly. I speak it into existence. Tuesday, it happens and it surprises me. Almost like I wasn't prepared to receive it. What happened? What happened? I could answer this a couple different ways, okay? And I'm sure all of you can relate to this. One answer I could give to you is the vegetable memory, okay? What happened was a lot of life between Monday and Tuesday. A lot of life happened between Monday and Tuesday. It was less than 24 hours between speaking and receiving, but a lot of life happened. And in that lot of life that happened, the vegetable memory decayed. And so I didn't remember what I had spoken with conviction into existence until after the event happened in the evidence of my senses. Okay, so I declared something to be true. The next day, I found evidence that was true, and it surprised me because I forgot that I had boldly declared this to be true. And if I had remembered that I had boldly declared this to be true, I would have been expecting it. Okay, it's like doing a sacred ceremony and dancing to call rain, right? Dancing to call rain. You know, there's a drought and I'm ready for rain. Or I think I need rain, right? Because I may not be ready for it, but I think I need rain. So I go out and I speak to myself, which, you know, it takes all sorts of myriad forms. But in this case, I would speak to the earth and I would speak to the weather. And I would say, hey, I need to grow some crops and I need some rain. And so I would go out and I would, stand on the land. And in my imagination, I would conjure the image of rain falling and I would feel it on my head and on my face and on my hands. And I would give thanks for it and I would speak it powerfully into existence. And ideally, I would not immediately go back home and forgot I had done that. Okay. Ideally, I would go and get my fields ready to receive rain, because if I know who I am and I make a declaration that the rain is coming, I then must prepare. And that's part of how I hold the faith. Okay. I know what I did. And so Now let me prepare. Flossie, one of my other favorite mystics, describes it as digging your ditches. Okay, so this idea that when you pray for rain and then the rain comes in abundance, you want to catch some of the rain. Okay, so you would dig trenches or dig ditches so that the rain doesn't just run off the land, but rather settles into pools so that you can use it, right? You can use it to water your crops. Okay, so she refers to this analogy or this idea of praying for rain. She says, if you pray for rain, you better go dig your ditches. Okay, so going back to this story that I'm sharing very transparently, what happened to me last week, on Monday, I prayed, metaphorically speaking, for rain. And then I promptly forgot about it and did not dig my ditches. And on Tuesday, it happened exactly as I had spoken into existence. And I didn't remember until after it happened. And I was staring at it, mouth agape. And I was like, wow, how did that happen? And then the memory came back and I was like, oh, right, I did that. I did that. I spoke that into existence. And I actually did it. There was someone on the call with me. I have a call where I do things like this, a speaking into existence call. And so I had someone witness me speaking it into existence. And so I had to kind of I had to kind of own up to it and be like, man, remember when I said, X, Y, and Z? And they're like, yeah. I'd be like, yeah, well, it happened less than 24 hours later. And somehow I had forgotten what I had done and it surprised me. And we had to kind of laugh about it, right? Because, that's all you can do is kind of laugh about it and learn the lesson and then share it with others, which is what I'm doing in this well-timed live stream with you all tonight. Okay, you have to share so that everyone, all of ourselves pushed out, can gain the benefit of the lesson. Okay, so holding the faith. All right, so you have to remember what you've done, yes, and you have to prepare to receive it. Okay? And then you also, continuing with this analogy of praying for rain, you prepare to receive it, you dig the ditches, and then when the storm clouds gather on the horizon, ideally, you do not look at them and become afraid. You pray for rain, you dig your ditches, and then you look at the horizon and you say, whoa, the sky is getting very dark. Clearly, I'm speaking in metaphor here. Okay, and this is where we begin to connect this idea to the liquid modernity of the now moment, because, my friends, there are clouds gathering on the horizon right now. You don't have to look very far to see it. It's all around us. It's within, it's without, it's, world news, world events, headlines, local, national, global, it's all over. There are clouds gathering on the horizon. But if you remember who you are and what you've been praying for, and if you've dug your ditches to receive the blessings, then why would you judge such clouds as being a cause of fear, right? Or being worthy of your fear? Wouldn't that be not holding to the faith? Wouldn't that be forgetting that I am the cause? Like that instance I shared with you last week, for a moment, I remembered quickly once I saw what had happened. For a moment, I forgot I was the cause. I was just staring at it, mouth agape, like, how did this happen? I was like, oh, wait, I literally spoke that into existence yesterday. And then I had to laugh about it. How did I forget that I had literally spoken out loud a declaration that this would happen? I can't speak for you, but I do know for me, and I feel that a lot of us are aligned in this. Some of us maybe are still on the path and kind of figuring it out, but speaking for myself and for those of you that feel aligned with what I'm about to say, many of us are ready for something new, are ready for something new. Many of us are ready for a new expression of human potential. And it doesn't start on the outside. That's what we talked about last week. It doesn't start on the outside, it starts on the inside. So I've had several people reaching out to me this week in my community, in our community. We're sharing this community. And saying to me things, something along the lines of like, "Hey, my life is changing really quickly right now. Things are shifting. I feel like I'm shifting on the inside. I feel like things are shifting on the outside. I feel like I'm just like spiraling up. I feel like I'm like strapped to a rocket ship. Like my vibes are like my frequency, my awareness, my intuition, my ability to see the mirrors, my ability to think from and be the man, the woman, the human that I desire to be is just accelerating so quickly. Okay, so that's where it starts. That is each one of us individually in our polyverse holding this truth that we will find evidence for, that we have the ability to express our potential. Okay. I deeply believe that each one of us have the ability to express phenomenal potential. We talk about in this space about how an extraordinary use of creative power is a definition of genius. Okay. Extraordinary use of creative power. So that's anyone who is a child born of woman. Okay. Anyone who is not a synthetic being, anyone who comes out of a human being and has an imagination, okay, an actual imagination, not just a derivative imagination. I'm talking about an actual living, breathing human being who has an imagination, has creative power. Okay, so anyone can make an extraordinary use of that creative power, and in so doing, can be the definition of genius. Okay, so genius is part of our potential. Each and every single one of us, we have the ability to express what the world would call genius. And we understand that it is an extraordinary use of creative power. An extraordinary use of creative power is turning our awareness inside, looking within and saying, who am I? And starting with the definition, who am I, of I am a son of the Most High. Okay. I am a child of God. I am the inheritor of this universe. Okay. Starting there and then saying, okay, cool. Now that I know who I am, how am I going to express my potential? Like, what is my potential? Who can I be, playing the character that I seem to be playing with the origin story that I seem to have in this human lifetime, and with the props and the set and the characters and the script and the actors and the theme of this drama that is my life. What is my potential and how can I express it? How can I reach that potential or give life to that potential? Okay. And then dreaming into that and then beginning to become it. Okay. So in this space, we've talked about how that moment that you're falling asleep at the end of the day, the universe takes a snapshot. Your personal universe takes a snapshot of your state. Okay. It's a save point, like in the RPG game of life, right? It's a save point. Okay. And then when you wake up the next morning, the universe reconstructs itself from the premise of last night's save point and the night before save point, right? The 3-day rule. Okay. We've talked about this extensively. It's 2 episodes ago if you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So, how do you begin to express your potential? Well, it starts with who you believe you are as you fall asleep tonight. That's where it begins. It's as simple as that. Every human being sleeps. Every human being is a child of the Most High. Every human being is an inheritor of the universe. Every human being has this ability to choose who they are as they fall asleep. What is my sacred identity? Who do you say that I am? And that's a question we're asking to the inside. Okay, who do I say that I am? Specifically, as I'm falling asleep, because that's when the universe measures me. And who I am, who I say that I am as I fall asleep tonight, plus who I say that I am as I fall asleep tomorrow night. It's this endless rolling 1 + 1 = 2. Tonight plus tomorrow equals the 3rd day, okay? Who I say that I am tonight as I fall asleep, plus who I say I am tomorrow night as I fall asleep equals the events that I will experience in my world on the 3rd day. Okay, this is the resurrection. We resurrect on the 3rd day of this state, okay? So it's just as simple as that. But in order to do it, we have to hold to the faith. We have to hold to the faith. Okay, so we have to dig the ditches. Or in my case, I have to wake up in the morning and remember what I spoke into existence yesterday, because it's going to happen. I'm going to receive it. Okay, so if I can be aware that it's coming, I can behave differently. Okay, I can be fully in alignment with it. And this is holding to the faith. Okay, so what does it mean to test ourselves? Okay, so testing ourselves. Okay, so there's a lot of people that are being tested right now. Okay, so there's some people who are holding a vision of a personal reality, a collective reality, where our collective human potential is reached. Okay, they're aware that that's a possibility. And then they get on social media and they start seeing all of the outrage. We'll just call it that, the outrage, right? It doesn't matter if it's, this is good and I'm super excited about it, or this is bad and I'm super whatever about it, right? It's just outrage, whatever it is, positive, negative, doesn't matter. They see anything on the outside and then they're like, oh no, what if my plan isn't working? Or what if my potential won't be reached? Or wasn't expecting that, sabotage. Okay. So to test oneself in this scenario would be to say, okay, I'm holding this vision that I'm going to reach my potential. Okay. And that could be financial potential, that could be relationship potential, that could be family potential, that could be career potential, that could be just expression of being human potential. It could be whatever, however you define your potential. I'm holding this vision that I will reach this potential. And then the test is when I see things in the world, okay, when I read the news or headlines or someone says something to me or I see a social media post or I'm scrolling and I come across media that seems to discount my vision, diminish, discount, cast doubt on my vision. Okay, this is the test. This is me being tested. Do I judge what I'm seeing and say, oh yeah, okay, you're right. The mirrors are probably right. The like that over there probably has more power than I do. That over there is probably, the shadows are probably more powerful than the light. This vision that I have for myself, for my life, for my world, it's probably not going to work out. Let me just go ahead and begin to doubt everything. Okay? That would be failing the test. That would be an example of failing the test or not passing the test. That is not a passing score. Okay? The test is not optional. The test is going to happen. Okay? Test yourselves. It's a command. Test yourself. See if you're holding to the faith. So how do I test myself? The test is when I look out into the world and I see something, do I judge it and automatically assume that it is more powerful than I am? Is that more powerful than the name of God, I am? Okay. And if the answer in our humanness, if we say, yes, that over there is more powerful than I am, then this is where everything that we are taught about I am being a jealous God, right? I am a jealous God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Okay, well, when I look out into the world and I say, hey, what that person is doing over there, I am judging as being more important than my I am state of awareness. I have now created a false God. I have now created an idol. And I am does not tolerate idols. I am is a jealous God. Okay, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Okay, the I am state is supreme. But we will be tested. Okay, we must see if we are holding to the faith. Are we remaining true? Are we remaining in integrity? Are we remaining loyal to the vision? That is the test. Okay, so speaking very candidly about where we are right now, there's a lot of people that feel like the world is in chaos in this moment. Okay, it's like you look at on the outside, people are like, the sky is falling, everything is in chaos. Okay, so we, and I'm going to include in the word we anyone who is dreaming of an earth and a humankind that expresses its potential. Okay, so that's all of the beautiful things that humankind can be. That's the potential, the beautiful things, that which is good, that which is lovely. Okay, that which is peace and love and harmony and compassion and collaboration and connection and working together and like lifting each other up and holding each other in a beautiful vision of our individual and collective shared potential. Like these are all the beautiful things. Okay, and we have the opportunity to hold these truths. Okay, we have the opportunity to hold. So anyone who feels with me that Earth and humankind on Earth has the ability to express these traits. Okay. And then again, it is not dependent on anyone else doing it for us. Okay. We begin to express these traits. And then the world begins in our polyverse, right? Because I have my own personal universe. You have your own personal universe. Okay. So each of us individually begin to express these character traits on the inside. And then the world begins to reshape itself and show us evidence that the world is the way that we are. Okay, because that's an infinite truth. The world is always the way that we are. Okay. Each of us that are holding this faith, we're going to be tested. Okay, we're going to be tested. And the key idea here is to look at what seem to be reports of chaos and to not judge them, but rather to say something along the lines of, if we happen to see it, we can always have the discussion about mental diets. Like you don't have to look. You don't have to look at anything, right? You can just unplug completely and just go about living your beautiful life, and you are missing very little. Okay, but some of us, still choose to look. So then, if we're looking, we're watching the news, or we're plugged into social media, we're listening to other people, or even just in conversation with other people, and it comes up, and we hear these things, okay? And then, the people that we're talking to, some of them may not be super aware. So some of them may succumb to judgment, okay? So the key for us is to hear these things if we're going to hear them and then say, well, that's interesting. Huh. Completely neutral, non responsive, non reactive, okay? Non emotional, just, huh, interesting. And then recasting the vision, because these truths aren't something that we just throw out there once. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if I reached my potential and the world around me reached its potential, and then we forget about it? Okay. No, we have to hold the truths. Okay. So this is not something that we just throw out once and forget about. This is something that we reaffirm continually. Okay. Because we are the wise gardener in the garden of God, which is the polyverse. Okay. So we're growing. As the wise gardeners, we're growing these plants of truth and beauty and connection and collaboration and happiness and compassion and all of the amazing things that we can experience in our garden. Okay, we have to grow these things as the gardener. Okay, we were placed in the Garden of Eden to keep the Garden of Eden. Okay, so Garden of Eden starts right here in the garden of my mind. Okay, so the garden of my mind, like these things, hey, there's fires over here and catastrophes over here, and this guy's burning this down, and this other person's burning this other thing down. Huh, interesting. Let me go into the silence and let me recast the vision. Not because I feel any doubt about it, but because I understand this is my opportunity to water it and to fertilize it. What would the feeling be like? Let me conjure that feeling from the depths of my own soul. Let me experience it now as though it were a present reality. Let me be right now the man that I desire to be. Let me choose to see with the eyes of God. Well, what does God see? Right? I mean, that's one of those questions that you could just ask into the silence of your own being. What does God see about this situation? What does eternity say about what's happening right now? If that's too big of a leap, you could even say, what 100 years from now? What is a human living 100 years from now say about what's happening right now? If you're ungrounded, right, and you're blowing back and forth with the winds, then your house is built on sand. It is not built on a solid foundation. That solid foundation is the I am. It's that awareness of who we are in the royal sense. Okay. So we have to build our foundation on stone. Okay. The stone, the cornerstone, right? Which is I am. Imagination is the cornerstone. That creative power that we talk about an extraordinary use of as being genius, that is the stone upon which we build the house that is our state of being and therefore our lives. Okay, so if you're getting blown back and forth every time you open up Instagram, you see a story or X or the news or whatever, if you're getting blown, okay, your house is built on sand. It's time to build it on stone. And if you're not there yet, don't judge yourself. I'm not judging you, right? Don't. It's fine. Just make a different decision. You have the opportunity, right? Maybe that's why you're on this live stream tonight, is because you needed to hear this invitation. I mean, I'm just a guy in your imagination reminding you who you are, right? I'm just just a mirror and a little bit of alarm clock. Okay. A little bit of alarm clock. And I'm just here to remind you who you are. I mean, sharing from personal experience. I told you my story about that little moment where I dozed and forgot the power that I am and had to wake up and remember. Right. So if you're like, man, I have been blown around by these winds, which let's admit, they're strong winds. Okay. Strong winds are a good thing. Strong winds are a good thing because it means the storm is coming. And the storm brings rain. Okay. So, what should you and I be doing? We should be planting things in our garden so that the rain can come and nourish the soil. So that these beautiful things that we are planting in the garden of our minds, that is the garden of our lives, that is the garden of God, that is the garden of Eden on this beautiful planet called Earth, can be nourished. That's what we should be doing. We should not fear the storm. We should welcome it and make sure that our homes are built on stone, not on sand. Because if the storm comes and our homes are built on sand and the winds and the rain, and the thunder and the lightning, I don't have to tell you what's going to happen, right? You're going to be blown away with the rest of them and feel in emotional turmoil and chaos. And that's a choice. You can make that choice to have that experience in your polyverse. You can choose to disregard everything that I'm saying tonight and not hold any of it as true. That is your choice. You are a creator. You are a genius. You have extraordinary use of creative power. You can choose any reality to experience. I can be over here literally living the golden age, and you can still be experiencing hell on earth. It is your choice. It is no one else's choice. No one else can decide for you. You are the operant power. You are the cause of your own experience. You have to own that and sell the belief in anything else that could be creating it for you. That's the pearl of great price. You have to buy the pearl, the most valuable thing there is, which is the truth of creatorhood. And you have to sell everything that is not that and buy that one thing. And that is how you create an experience of heaven on earth, no matter what storms come. That is invitation to each and every child of the Most High. You get to inherit the kingdom once you remember who you are and you come back home. You come back home to yourself. This is the story of the prodigal son. Right? The prodigal son, his father is the wealthiest being in all of creation. The prodigal son's like, nah, I'm going to go out into the world. I'm going to forget my inheritance. I'm going to completely let go of all of my wealth. I'm going to act like I'm not even a trust fund kid. I'm just going to go out into the world penniless and see what happens. Okay, this is the story of each and every one of us. Okay, this is the story of you. This is the story of I. This is each one of our autobiographies as the great I am playing the part of you and I. Okay, I'm going to forget how wealthy I am. I'm going to forget how powerful I am. I'm going to forget how bright I am, and I'm going to journey into a world of darkness. And I'm going to have an incredible experience. It's going to be the greatest story ever told. And then at some point, that boomerang that I threw out into the darkness, not knowing where the journey would take me, right? At some point, that boomerang, it will turn around and come back. And if you're on this live stream with me tonight, you are on your way back. Okay, you are coming back home. Your boomerang is on the return trip. There's people out here, there's other versions of the great I am that are playing characters that are still on their way out. They're still on their way out. They have not hit that return point, and the boomerang is still going into the depths of the dream. Okay. They haven't turned around and come back yet. And it's all one trip. I went out. I just happen to be on the way back. Maybe you've gone out. You just happen to be on the way back. I mean, we can wave at each other, right? Everyone will hit that point where they turn around and they start to come back. And that boomerang trip back, that return trip back, is also the prodigal son returning to the kingdom. And when he is welcomed with open arms and with love by the Father, the fatted calf of abundance is prepared for him, and he is greeted like the member of the royal family that he is. Right? And this is the story of each one of us. Okay. So we can make that choice to come home. Anytime we choose, anytime we please, we can make that choice to come home. We can make that choice to receive our inheritance. Okay. And it's just as simple as remembering who we are and then choosing to fall asleep tonight in our most beautiful possibility. Whatever we can imagine, it's the most beautiful thing that we can imagine ourselves being. Fall asleep in that tonight. And then tomorrow night, do it again. And on the third day, see what happens. But hold the faith. Don't forget. Don't be like me last Monday. Okay, when I forgot what I had spoken and then it happened on Tuesday and I was surprised. Don't be. Learn from my mistake. Okay, it wasn't a mistake. It was a learning moment, right? But learn from what I'm telling you tonight. Hold the faith. Remember the vision. Put a note on your bathroom mirror. So it's the first thing you see in the morning. Whatever you have to do, right? I mean, I wish I had done that last Monday. I wish I had written what I had spoken and put it on the bathroom mirror. So when I woke up on Tuesday, I was expecting it, right? Whatever you have to do, fall asleep in the most beautiful vision of who you can be in your most beautiful possibility tonight. And then tomorrow night, do it again and see what happens on the third day. And most importantly, do not forget, remember what you have done. Remember who you are. Remember the possibility that you are choosing to hold as truth. And when the winds blow, when the storm clouds gather on the horizon, remember that you have prayed for rain and prepare your garden to receive. I'm looking at the chat here for a moment. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me live. Enrico says, is there a universal truth or a common truth? And Tarot Guitars says, nothing is true, everything is permitted. And Enrico says, how about science and math? Okay, so there's a little bit of nuance here, and I don't want to miss the picture of the truth that we were speaking of by getting too deeply into the weeds of details and nuance. But here's the basic idea, okay? So science and math, for sure, are truths that we hold and carry, meaning that tomorrow something could be discovered that completely rewrites both science and math. Okay, so they are not universal truths. They may work temporarily for now. I was actually listening to a physicist talk about this yesterday. A physicist was talking about how he was trying to describe consciousness with a mathematical model, and then he realized that that was folly because consciousness is primordial, meaning primary, meaning consciousness is reality, and then matter is a phenomena of consciousness, energy is a phenomena of consciousness, and the tools that we use to describe matter and energy, math, is a phenomena of consciousness. So it's always subordinate to consciousness. So yeah, I agree with Tarot Guitars. Nothing is true, everything is permitted, and we can share math right now, right? But if you are a being from another galaxy, you may have a completely different understanding of what math is, and you will find evidence for that also, right? So it literally is, everything is a perspective. That's the bottom line. Everything is a perspective. Everything is consented to as being true, and then you find evidence for it. It's so easy to forget who we are because the dream is so convincing, Glenn says. That's the perfect way to say it. It's so convincing. The best way that I found is to literally, I call it the waking dream induction. So the best way I found is not to try to not dream, but rather to remind myself every morning when I wake up, yes, my eyes are now open and I'm sensing with these sensors that I have, 4 or 5 of them, as we said, but I'm still dreaming. I call it the waking dream induction. I have a process that I go through it for, but it's basically reminding myself that I'm dreaming. It's the best thing that I found to try to not fall prey. No, that's the wrong word. That's way too dramatic. It's not prey. Not to snooze and allow Maya, the illusion, to convince me that it is real. Best way I found is to constantly remind myself that everything is a dream. Calling it a save point. Yeah, I didn't come up with that. That was the community. Someone here on Neville and Chill. We were talking about this 2 weeks ago on Neville and Chill, and I was talking about the universe taking our picture. Your universe takes your picture, and someone was like, "Oh, you mean like a save point?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's the perfect way to say it." Yeah. Trust that it is still my vision. Yes, exactly. We should be digging our ditches. Yes. Welcome the storm and plant new seeds. Buy imagination, buy the pearl. Return to yourself. The prodigal story. Hey, Marcio. Imaging a scene before bed, it messes up my sleep. Yeah, it can. Marcio says you may be trying too hard. Yeah, remember, Neville really talks about the minimum of effort, but I'll just say in this moment, without getting super deeply into it, it comes down to practice. It comes down to practice and just doing the best you can. just trying different things, and then also keeping a record. Documentation seems to be really important on this journey. I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but it seems like the more I keep a record tangibly, like writing down what I'm doing and how it's working for me, there's something about that reinforcement of like watching myself write. Like, so it's a dream, right? But I'm writing something down in my dream of life, like my waking dream of life. And I'm writing something down, spelling, like making these letters. There's something about that that like activates another layer of creation. I don't really know how to explain it, and I'm not sure I fully understand it yet, but documentation, I feel, is very important. I feel the more I write down my dreams of night, the more I record and log my day, the more I uh, journal what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and how it's working for me and what my experience is. It seems like that is a uh, accelerator of my progress. Illy says, I'm just very expressive and I feel lots of love and gratitude with the scenes, but it gives me insomnia. Yeah, that's kind of precious in a way. I mean, obviously you want to sleep, but it's kind of precious that you're passionate about what you're seeing. So another option would be to maybe do it in a nap if you can. It's the forgetting that always gets to me, that always gets me, but I love remembering who I am. Mhm. According to your faith, be it unto you. Awesome. Um, how do I change my manager's behavior? It's very simple. I was talking with someone about this earlier. So, in the silence, okay, so you're doing this in your imagination, you're not doing it in the tangible physical reality, you're doing this in your imagination. You call your manager before you. Okay, so this is an imaginal act. You call her before you and you have a heart to heart. You have to do it from a place of love or it won't stick. You have to like really get into your heart, really like feel, like really, okay, yeah, this has been tough, but I have this vision that like life can be better. My manager can be better. This, really get into your heart, really feel it. And then call her before you and see her, hear her, whatever in your mind's eye, right? All in your imagination and have a heart to heart with her and really tell her again with open heart, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling and this is what you're doing. And this is my, how I'm feeling about it. And like, this is, like just like talk it out, but in your imagination, right? And talk it out until you feel the energy move. And once you feel that energy move, and I've done this many times with situations in my life with people, Neville talks about this as psychic conversations. Once you feel the energy shift, then you can, with love, drop it and watch her behavior shift. In this case, talking about your manager. So the people Neville talks about his friend who was working for the theater manager who unfairly criticized her work, and it was because she was in her inner conversations talking to him all the time about all of the negative things about him and about what he said and this and that. And so she changed her inner conversation, and then he changed and was like, "Hey, I love your work. It's great." And like their whole relationship changed. In the last lecture that I narrated for my channel, Neville was talking about the screenplay writer who was like making $3,000. And then he was like, no, I want to make $4,000. And so he put into the mouth of the producer that he would be paid more. He heard the producer say that. And then the producer just, showed up in real life and said it to him, right? So it's like literally these people will speak back to us the words that we put in their mouths because we are the authors. Okay. And the big caveat on this is it has to come from this place of love and respect, because if it comes from a darker and then love and respect, very quickly and easily reject it. Right. Like yeah. So that's just the way it is. So you have to be in a very high vibrational, high frequency, loving part of yourself in order for this to work. That the game is written that way so that people can't do stupid things. I'm sure you can see why. Okay. So we're We're going to leave it there. Why do we forget? Well, there's a lot of reasons why we forget. It is a feature, not a bug. But for those of us that are learning to wake up, it is a way for us to enhance and improve our skill. Why does the universe take our picture? It has to do with our brainwave state. So we are passing from, most of us are in the beta or alpha-ish brainwave states as we're moving every day, and then we slip through the alpha-theta cusp into theta, which is dreaming, and delta, which is dreamless sleep. And as we make that shift through the brain, it's this is just the way that our human energy templates are set up. We do a save point, and it's part of how we reconstruct our story so that when we wake up the next morning, we remember who we are, right? Because we're leaving the brainwave state of having an identity, and we're going into the depths of the subconscious. So we come back and remember who we are. We have to make a save point, and that happens as a function moving through these brainwave states. I'm speaking about this like this is absolute fact. Let me go ahead and clarify that this is my interpretation of countless mystics have said, plus my own personal experience. This is my best possible way that I have in this moment of explaining why this works the way it is. I'm not saying anyone else has proven this. I'm just saying that this is my best understanding, both other people have said, plus my own access to inner truth and my own personal experience, my best interpretation of what is happening as we're falling asleep, and why our own personal universe makes a save point as we move through those brainwave states. There's one more comment I'm going to respond to, and I'm going to wrap up for tonight. That is from Bonnie. Bonnie says, how to create an imaginal act to become symptom-free? So it can't, I know a lot of people have said this, but I just want to point it out. It can be challenging to manifest the absence of something. Okay, so symptom-free, I know that's still like, oh, I've symptoms. So, but really, the key word of that sentence is still, so really it's how to create, another way to say that would be how to create an imaginal act to be full of health and wellness and vitality. Okay, so that imaginal act could be you're for seeing a practitioner, hearing them say, wow, you have so much progress, and you saying, I have, thank you so much for help. I probably won't need to see you anymore, right? Like whatever that might look like, or like, for me, every once in a while, I see a chiropractor just, because, and at the end they're like, oh, do you want to schedule another visit? And I'm always like, no, because I'm not holding the vision that I'll need another visit. I'm holding the vision that I'm fine. But if I need another visit, I'll make another visit, right? But like I'm holding the vision that everything is now fine. See what I'm saying? So it could be an imaginal act like that, like, hey, I'm graduated now, or hey, thank you so much for everything that you invested in me as a practitioner. You've helped me so much. I'm grateful, heartfelt thanks. And I don't think I'm going to reschedule another visit with you because I think I'm done. Obviously as an imaginal act like that, like having that conversation with them, hey, thank you so much for how you've helped me. Or hearing the doctor, for those of you that maybe had a diagnosis, say, oh, I don't see any evidence now, your test came back negative, right? There's things like that, or even just the feeling of like, what would the feeling be like if you woke up in the morning and you felt amazing? If you felt amazing, like you felt full of energy and vitality. And you can also tap into a reference experience. Maybe you can. Maybe there was a day somewhere in your life. Maybe you were young, right? Maybe you were very young. I don't know. Maybe just kind of go to the silence and see if you can find a day or an experience, a memory of a time when you felt amazing. And then use that memory to the experience again, so that kind of helps you get into that feeling of what would the feeling be. Oh, maybe I have felt this before. And so I can use that as a reference experience to conjure the feeling again. And then add that to your save point, right? Add that to the costume that you're wearing as you enter that window of brain states when your picture is taken. Okay. All right. This Sunday, we are resuming Sunday Mystery School. 12 p.m. Eastern is the live stream, the recording channel as usual. And I've had a nice little break, and now I'm ready to resume. So we're going to get back into it. School. This will be the beginning of season 2. So that'll be the next thing that we have on this channel. Looking forward to it. Thank you to everyone who joined me live tonight, all the members of the community, and just your beautiful contributions. I come here, and my intention is to offer you my very best, and I feel that that intention is consistently met by those of you who are in the chat also giving your very best. So thank you for being a beautiful reflection of my intention in that way. And I suppose with that, I could say namaste. The light in me recognizes the light in you. Thank you for that. And my final words here, there's just like a few more words in this space. My final words here are, all of us are powerful. All of us are more powerful than most of us imagine. And as we become aware of that power, as we become aware of that power, we have the ability to really create a very beautiful human experience for ourselves. When we really remember our true identity, we can live a life of meaning and purpose and beauty. There really is nothing we cannot be, do, or have. And it really comes down to this idea of testing ourselves. Are we holding to the faith? Are we holding to the faith? And so I'll leave you with these words tonight. As Neville said so beautifully, imagine better than the best you know. And if that concept doesn't make sense to you, I think I can explain it very simply. What you know is what is already manifested. Okay, so many of us are tempted to be derivative imaginers. Okay, so we see something that someone else imagined, and we're like, oh, that's pretty nice. I'd like to have that. That's fine. Okay, but that's what we know because we can already see it. And yet Neville says, imagine better than the best you know, meaning go beyond just derivative, meaning go beyond what anyone else has imagined before. Imagine better than anything that exists right now, than anything you've ever seen. Lean into your creative power in that way. Really use your genius. Imagine better than the best you know. Our garden is being watered, and the harvest will be abundant and beautiful. All right, my friends. Imagine wisely, and I will see you all in the next.